what should people look for when looking for these design jobs? Because I've seen such radical extremes. On the one hand, like when I went to the Collins office, I was like, oh my God, places like this exist. These were not just places, there's Eames chairs, it's beautiful, there's like libraries and everyone there is so kind and they're like sharing books with you and sharing information. And then there's other offices which are like cold corporate dungeons of just like old school thinking and presentation decks and all that awful stuff. Sorry for anyone who's presentation decks. Keep rocking. Because you worked at Disney, you worked at Hershey, you worked at all these places. I just want to know that it's going to take time to get there, but when I get to where I'm going, like, what's it like when you get to work, these dream jobs?
I have to say, Rob, like, I think it's taken now 20 years to recognize it and be okay with the fact that there are days when I walk into work and I truly am like, I have the best job in the world. And that has been true no matter where I worked, whether it was at Disney, whether it was at, a small agency in South Florida, Olive Garden. And then there are also days when you walk in and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Right. Yeah. So you have that. I think, for me, what's exciting is the things that stress me out. I don't know if stress out is the right word, or the things that kind of irk me about, like, wow, I shouldn't have to be telling somebody why I chose a typeface for this, right? Like, or why I'm insisting on hand lettering something instead. But, I think a lot of it, you have to, first recognize every organization is at a different stage of the design journey, and every person that you work with is, right? So there are some brand managers that I work with that honestly, I'm like, I have an open design job. Please apply. Come work with me. They really get it. And then there are other people that, they don't. And it's not that they don't. I will say, at least at Hershey, I don't believe it's ever about bad intention. I think it's just about, for so many people, what we do, it appears fun, and it appears like anyone could do that, right? I mean, how hard is it to...
Which is definitely not the case. I've learned that very quickly.
And so I think that, you have to be patient in your journey of, okay, who am I going to bring under my wing, right? And help them understand, like, I often joke with... I joke with our brand partners here, where I'm like, hey, if I do my job, you are going to be the next CEO of the Hershey Company. I won't be. You will be. But let me do my job. If you're going to fight it every step of the way, there's somebody else who wants to be the CEO. And it's more of, I believe in going, go where the suction is. Go and work with the people who want my time and my team's time and are, like, I love when we're in town halls and a brand person would say, oh my God, I would never have been able to do this if it weren't for, the design team and what they've delivered. That's amazing. And, they're getting a heck of a lot further, right, in their career and in their development by recognizing, the fact that they're not doing this stuff as islands, right? And so I think you have that. I think the, question that I would kind of put out there is, or my revelation is, I've always known when I walk into an interview immediately, is this place right for me? Right. And I would say go with your gut, because it's rarely wrong.
Yeah.
There have been jobs that don't show up on my resume that I thought, this is going to be amazing, and it was like, oh wow, this is for me. And so don't no experience. I really do believe no experience is bad experience, particularly as you're looking for your first jobs, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that I did when I was at the agency that I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a client I would have sought out, but it's one the agency brought in. And, as the new designer on the team, I definitely wasn't getting the choice projects. I mean, and this would happen a lot, at Disney, where, we were getting like anywhere from 60 to 100
aristocrats while your partners were getting
right. Like
I love the aristocrats.
Sit there with the work and like all these things handed out, and I'm like, how did I get stuck doing that hang tag for a tank top that I didn't design? Like, what am I doing? But so you have to recognize you're going to get some of that, but there are also some of the things where it's like, oh, that was fun. I mean, the time that I spent doing pins at Disney, man, that blinds you. You're working in these like little minuscule things. I'm like, wow, man, I'm like doing all these pins all the time. And I'm looking at my, some colleagues getting these amazing, like, portfolio projects.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun, and I look at it and I'm like, they're also mad at every client. They're not having a good time. So I would say go with your gut, the sense, the feel of the place. And I'd also, I wouldn't be scared about doing, particularly as you're starting out, right? Like, if I read my resume and I were Disney, right? If I were Disney reading my resume as I was sending it in, I would have never called me for an interview.
Yeah.
I have to say the connections are everything, and you'll work on I never thought I'd be working in, the food industry with frankly Olive Garden. I'm like, okay, that was kind of weird. I never expected that.
Right.
But at the same time, I never thought I'd be working on detergent, on skincare, on hair care, on chocolate. I worked at the agency. A lot of what we did was healthcare. I was like illustrating knee braces for like catalogs. It's like, there's like a mix of kind of crazy.
Great with the pen tool, I'm sure.
Just got to do it,
Yeah.
And then hopefully at some point you'll be like, that's the job. That's the job I want.
Yeah.
And I want to go and do that every day. And I want to do it even when I don't have to do it anymore.